Hi, Genki desu. In today's video, I want to talk about my hands-on experience playing Resident Evil Village on the PlayStation VR2. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Capcom brought along the PlayStation VR2 to the Tokyo Game Show 2022. Attendees there had the opportunity to try the PlayStation VR2 in its first ever public showing. I was lucky enough to get a ticket to try the demo, and it was super cool. It was a mad rush to get the tickets. I was lucky enough to get in the line, and I got a ticket with the number 3 to go in with the third group. The Tokyo Game Show opened at 10 AM and the tickets ran out after 5 to 7 minutes. So it was really hard to get the tickets, and I felt super lucky to be one of the few that were able to try it at Tokyo Game Show. Afterwards, they led you through a curtain into the back where they gave you a demonstration of how to control the game, which included how to take out the knife, use the gun, and reload. The PSVR2 is the next generation of PlayStation VR headsets, continuing from the original PlayStation VR, which launched in October of 2016. That's almost 6 years ago. In that 6 years, the technology has improved so much. The PlayStation VR2 is a really technologically advanced headset. Some of the new features include a much improved visual fidelity, headset-based controller tracking, so it doesn't need any external cameras in order to track the movements of the controllers. Also, it has new sensory features. The controllers also have haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, just like the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. One of the most impressive things was the eye tracking. With the PlayStation VR2, it detects the motion of your eyes, so it can tell in which direction you're looking. The headset was quite easy to put on. It had a button to adjust the straps, and then when you rotate the dial, you could tighten the headset. Once it was on, there's a dial on the side which you can turn to adjust the focus of the headset. You would go through a calibration process for the eye tracking. First, it would recognize your blinks, so you would have to blink twice and it would recognize it. And then it would calibrate the eye tracking. For this, a red dot would appear in the middle of a blank white screen. The red dot would then move slowly across to the top left corner and then move back to the center. After that, it would move to the other corners. You would have to keep your eyes focused on the red dot in order for it to calibrate the eye tracking. Then it was time to get into the game. For the game, you would move using the analog sticks and adjust the direction you're looking using the headset. It started off in front of the castle of Resident Evil Village. You'd walk up to the castle and open the doors. To open the doors, you'd have to press the button on the side of the PlayStation VR2 controller. On the grip, there is a button you could hold down to grip things in the game. This was like the grabbing button. Once you grab the doors and open up the door, you'd enter into this hallway. It was an intricately decorated room with marble floors and marble vases in the corner. You could walk over to them and peek over into the vase. It was super cool. Exploring the environments felt really interactive and they felt really solid and real. After that, you'd head through some doors and there was even a glass of wine that you could pick up and examine. This played the cutscene that you can see here, in which the daughters drag you to this room through the corridors and hallways of the castle into Lady D's room. Once she's there, she's sitting on her chair, and as she stands up, you can see her towering over you. She's super big and it's super impressive. In VR, the characters look super solid and realistic. There's such a strong sense of three-dimensionality to the character models. As you're getting dragged along the corridors, it's funny because you can look down at your body and you just see a headless hole where your shirt is. And then you can look down at your shoulders and torso and leg. Also, being dragged along the corridors was a kind of a dizzying experience because your character in the VR is laying down and being dragged along the floor, but you yourself are still standing in the same position in the demo room. So it was kind of funny just looking around while standing up whilst your VR character was lying down on the floor. Then came the big set piece, which is when Lady D reaches over to your hand and starts sucking blood from your wrist in the game. It felt super interactive and super real. Then the daughters pinned you up by your hands and cranked you into the air when you're hanging up in air in the room. You could look down at your feet dangling and you kind of get a sense of vertigo in VR. And also your arms are strung up by chains. As you look up, you can see your arms being hooked up by chains. It was super cool looking around during this time. And also you could see Lady D's chest area. This was awkward because you know the PlayStation VR2 has eye tracking, so it can tell where you're looking. So I felt really guilty looking down towards Lady D's massive chest area, but I couldn't help but look. She then left the room and ducked under the doorway. Lady D really stepped all over me. It was crazy. After that, you dropped down and you could continue looking around the room, and then you could start to use the weapons. The combat was really cool too. You had a knife which was placed on your wrist, and you'd have to reach over, press the grab button to grab the knife, and then you could use the knife freely in your hand using the PlayStation VR2 controller. It was hard holding onto the knife because to grab the knife you'd constantly have to hold down the grip button, the button on the grip of the PlayStation controller. I often found myself not tightly holding the controller button down and dropping the weapons that I had in my hand. It takes some time to get used to constantly gripping onto the button on the PlayStation VR2 controller grip. The same with the gun. You can reach down to your hip to pull out the pistol, and then once the pistol is in your hand, you could use the trigger buttons to shoot. There was also an intricate process to reload the handgun. You have to press the triangle button on the controller, which would release the clip and drop it onto the floor. After that, you would have to reach to your hip to get a new magazine and motion to put that into the bottom of the pistol. After that, you'd have to cock the pistol on the top by motioning with your hands above the pistol to pull back the cocking mechanism. Once that's done, then your pistol would be reloaded. It takes some time to get used to the reloading mechanic. Shooting felt really nice and lined up well with your hand. Looking down at your hands was really cool, seeing your hands follow the same motion as your movement. Also with the knife, you could also do a throwing motion and then let go of the grip at the correct time to throw the knife across the room. That was really cool. If you let go of the knife, it automatically returns to your left wrist area, where you'd have to reach over and pick it up again to use it. You could also dual wield a knife in the right hand and a gun in the left hand. The demo was only about 20 minutes long, but it was super cool, and I was really impressed by how interactive and how cool it felt, and how solid and realistic the environments and characters felt as well. There was a few times I got a bit dizzy because you're standing still while your character is moving around in this three-dimensional VR environment, but apart from that, I felt it was a really interactive and amazing experience, and really impressive how realistic the characters and environments were. So many moments where I was left jaw dropped with my jaw on the floor. They haven't announced when PlayStation VR2 will be released. Also, they have not announced the price yet either. The external cameras were really impressive. When the instructors were handing me the controllers, you could see through the headset using the external cameras, and it kind of felt you were living inside an AI robot. It was really cool. But you could see and reach the controllers and grab them for yourself using this see-through view camera. So with all these technologies, I really can't see the PlayStation VR2 costing any less than $500 US. It also comes with two controllers that have haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. So I think the total price of the PlayStation VR2 will be quite expensive. I hope they can make it somewhere around $400 mark. That would be the sweet spot for me. But we'll have to wait and see for the pricing to be announced later on down the line. But for now, I was really impressed with the PlayStation VR2 and the PlayStation VR2 Sense controller. I think this is a real big leap forward in VR technology. It's definitely one of the best VR experiences you can have at the moment. I hope they release more cool games and software for the PlayStation VR to make it worth the high entry price it will likely have. For now, the Resident Evil Village PSVR2 demo was super impressive, and it's a cool new way to play the amazing Resident Evil Village game. I was left stunned and amazed at numerous points during the demo at how interactive and cool it was. Thanks to Capcom and Sony for bringing the PlayStation VR2 to the Tokyo Game Show. I had a blast playing it, and I hope more people can get to try it soon. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to help out the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Jana!